Most of the time we say, "Good morning, how did you sleep?" Today I want to ask, how did you awake? How did you wake up? How did you open your eyes? Was there anything behind your eyes before you even opened them? I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, time's up. I feel like a lot of people would say something smarty pants along the lines of, "Yeah, I saw black. Hardy har har." Black is one of my favorite colors because it's very soothing to look at, but that's not necessarily what I personally see whenever I wake up. Most of the time when I wake up, I'll see a picture of a nightmare that I had before, or I'll see a demonic force squeezing my brain. Yes, visually, I do see it. The visual aspect of it comes with the gift of discernment of spirits that I've been gifted by the Father. Not everybody needs to have this gift in order to be able to see something's going on. Oh no, somebody's running around going crazy talking about evil spirits. Crazy lady on the loose!
These things aren't real. Thoughts are just things. They're just there. Chemicals, brain chemicals and stuff.
I have a lot of books, but I really do want to talk about the Well-Watered Woman book today. Like in my last video, I talked about chapter 10 a little bit in the first part of it. Today I'm going into the very beginning of chapter 11, a small excerpt here, and I want to talk about my journaling that I did with it as well. You may notice some color coding here. I would like to explain that further in another video one day, so I don't want it to confuse anybody, but basically just remember that the brown colored pencil means sin, Satan, and things along that line. I chose brown for Satan because he's a poop stain. Alright, the story of a thirsty woman. She jolted upright from her disturbing dream, her mind racing like an out-of-control car. She hadn't even gotten out of bed, and already the lies were taunting her. Her dreams only unveiled more fears, worries, and stress. As the day wore on, the battle in her mind raged stronger. Fears hounded her peace, and memories of past failure crowded out the grace that she had longed to hold on to. She needed to make the lies bow down to Jesus, the real king of her heart. She was engaged in a battle for her mind, and if she was going to win, she needed to bring her thoughts into submission to Christ day after day, moment by moment. This applies to men as well, but this particular book is written to encourage women. In my journaling portion, you'll see a picture of my desk right here. It's just to commemorate how wonderful it feels not to be homeless anymore and to have a stable place where I can actually sit and grow in God's Word in more depth. So this is essentially just an insert because I didn't have enough room for today's journaling on this little passage. Sometimes I'll put like teeny tiny notes, and sometimes it will be something a little bit bigger. I definitely get this inspiration from Faith Womack's channel, her Bible study channel, and yeah, so let's get into the journaling portion. Here's what I wrote in regards to how I felt after reading that excerpt. Yes, this. I can relate to the struggle of mental attacks before I get out of bed or before I even open my eyes. I attribute this most times to the snowball effect, the compounding of sin or weakness in faith from previous days. I once heard a pastor say, if you give the devil an inch, he will take a mile. That mile can flow into the next day, making me feel stuck. If you open the door to Satan on Wednesday and it is still open when you go to sleep, he will still be there on Thursday. Not only that, but he will invite other wicked spirits to join in tormenting you in your moments of weakened faith. There is a saying going around of people declaring Satan does not attack those who already belong to him. This is false and not biblical. Satan attacks believers and unbelievers alike. That is his nature, to steal, kill, and destroy, as it says in John 10:10. The only difference between believers and unbelievers is that while both experience the pain of mental attacks, the followers of Christ believe what God's Word says about where the attacks come from, and through that belief, they are given the tools to combat and to fight with the spiritual attacks. An unbeliever may say, these thoughts come from nowhere, they just appear out of thin air, or from chemical processes in the brain. Well, they would be partially correct because the demonic do dwell in the air, seeking to attack and enter a person's mind, then heart. Ephesians 2:2 describes Satan as the prince of the power of the air. A brain scan defines movement as electrical, yet it cannot discern the spiritual, nor will it agree that there is a spiritual aspect. This medical professional says, this is only a physical matter. If you are hearing or seeing things that are quote-unquote not there, you will need pills because this is a physical matter. God's Word states that spiritual matters manifest into the physical. For example, Job was afflicted with painful boils on his body from Satan's attacks. The battle does not start in the physical. Now that I've mentioned Job, I want to make it clear that not every attack from the enemy is due to a person's own wrongdoing. Some attacks are allowed in seasons of testing, so we have no right to judge one another for our pain. I can identify that my situation of when I wake up in pain is connected to strongholds and open doors that I've allowed. I can also identify that my battle with this particular seizing spirit has another purpose. So basically, there are some things that I deal with in my own personal life which come from my faith being weak, and there are other things that come from testing, trials, and experiencing certain things that I need to experience that were not necessarily because of anything that I did, but because God was trying to show me something as He developed the gift of discernment of spirits in me. So sometimes God will step back a little bit and let you try to find power in the worldly things before you come crawling back to Him, essentially. A stronghold is a lie that you believe in your mind where you think, first thing you wake up, you gotta have that coffee. First thing you wake up, you gotta get on that phone. First thing you wake up, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta think about this and that. And you gotta. Methinks perhaps this may be a lie from Satan to keep us bound and going around and around and around. But what if we choose to give the feet of our mind to Jesus, and then He can be our best foot forward?